What does economics mean to you?
The constructive system to keep the rich people rich and the broke people broke.
People buying and selling and trading and going about the business of the country.
A system of money and power and labor that, number one, allows a state or a city or something like that to prosper and to be sustainable.
A lot of jobs have went overseas.
You can build cars in this country and you got to pay an employee $30 an hour, or if you can go and build cars in another country, in China or somewhere else, and pay $10 an hour, a company's going to make a whole lot more money. The jobs that there are left here require fewer people.
We've gone from a manufacturing-based economy to one more toward ed and med, education and medicine.
The financial services industry has grown disproportionately to the rest of the economy. And you've had, the explosion in computers and software and, green energy, all kinds of, computer jobs, telecommunications jobs, but not just, working as an operator. Or what skills do you need to have to design telecommunications equipment? People are going off to college, but they're getting degrees that aren't really worth much in today's economy.
A lot of them don't know how to write resumes or don't know job etiquette.
Some black contractors who are more apt to hire Hispanics, not necessarily because they are biased against black people, but more so because of the skill set being brought and also the work ethic. Are we prepared to step into those jobs? So we're talking about education, being able to read and write. I mean, those are basic skills.
You would be amazed at the number of employers who just want you to show up on time every day.
But if we're talking about the jobs of the future, then we're also talking about even higher levels of education. And so that means math and science and thinking about jobs in terms of engineering and construction, architecture, and all those kinds of things. So we have to be prepared to step into those jobs.
We need the on-ramps. There aren't enough on-ramps. And quite frankly, there are 20 gajillion job training programs in the city. I don't know what the heck they're doing because there are too many programs and not enough programs of quality.
I had the great good fortune to work in a program called the Baltimore Youth Apprenticeship Program. And we had 100 young folks in there, ages 14 to 20. They were the hardest working young people that I've ever met. Out of the 100 young folks who were in it, we were only able to get 20 people jobs.
Our expectation is if we educate people, we will manage. The conditions we're dealing with aren't educating people, they're socializing people. And people are being socialized to fail. They're being socialized to withdraw politically in all other ways. And the socialization process is far more powerful and far more effective than our effort to educate. And so in many ways our approaches have been dealing with it one person at a time, one block at a time, when the bad conditions are basically crippling people tens of thousands at a time. So we need to change our tactics. One, it requires that we connect more, because we can't do that a separate program at a time.
Talk about it takes a village to raise a child. Well, sick villages raise sick children.
Part of what we're trying to do is to rebuild community, not just from the standpoint of dealing with social issues, but so that community can be an economic asset.
Unemployment for youth is always high, but it's increased more because you've got adults and professional people who are out of work.
That labor industry, we have no place whatsoever in it.
We don't have an adequate strategy for employing young people in Baltimore and beyond.
I think it's a human rights issue when you have a group of people or people in a society that are excluded from that job market. Like homeless people were not included into that equation. Uneducated people are not included into that equation. First of all, I think that not educating people to be able to take hold of their own destinies is, first off, the first human rights issue. You've already crippled these people by not educating them, and then you don't have an economic system that can support them being stupid.
It's our responsibility to see that all their hard work pays off in a good job, a job that they can start raising a family, being able to take care of what they need to take care of, and enjoying their work.
How do you build coalitions among the youth, but also among educators, to push for the kind of educational reform that'll address what you really need.
I think learning should be a part of working. That is, those two things go hand in hand.
And there's opportunity for jobs to be created if we can vision differently about what our economy could look like.
So I feel like young people need to be included in their own workforce. The ideas around cooperatives and employing yourself and, you know what I'm saying, creating a base where you don't have to ask the city for money.
You know, whether it's a bicycle cooperative or a coffee house or a place for kids to hang out after school, but that also can serve to employ people and give them a wage.
To create a space for young people to think about jobs differently, not just on an individual level, but as a community. Us thinking about, you know, not only I need employment, but, you know, my next door neighbor needs employment.
Young people should be in charge of all the systems that affect their lives, or at least have a role in shaping the systems that affect their lives.
You both want people to think, I can create my own employment, as opposed to the view that I think most young people have, which is that if I'm going to get a job, it's because somebody's going to give me the job.
You ain't no more having somebody do it or waiting for the government to put together a plan for you to be all right. No, you got to go out there and make things happen.
Organizations that are more youth-led, they're really more about shaping the world to fit the young person, rather than saying, here's what the world is, you fit into this. And that means you can flip burgers, you can do construction, you can do youth works, you can do, or whatever.
A lot of times we have programs that exist that are created for young people that aren't made by young people.
The existing system, it has to go in order for a new system to come, or for us to create a new system that fit us.
I feel like any young person over the age of 14, whatever the legal working age is, should have an opportunity to have a job. And have a job where they're not working for slave wages and they're not doing menial activities like picking up trash off the street. Like, have really strong educational opportunities and have opportunities to work in places that will give them kind of a foot up in the knowledge-based economy.
America needs to go back to its roots, and I think all of us need to practice entrepreneurship, and that'd be a good way of teaching our young children how to sell lemonade for maybe not necessarily 10 cents though, but getting them back into, you know, owning something that we can own and control and trade off with each other.
The people that are most responsible for making sure that things get better are the young people themselves. They need to control the employment structure for the city. They need to get to work on it now, and they need to figure out how it's going to happen.
So I think that being a young person is a very particular and special place in a person's life. I think it needs to be a push for a young people's movement, a young person workforce.
We're trying to create a new work world.
And once we get young people to thinking about jobs through that perspective, we can, I guess, practice Umoja more community.
We know what the problem is. We know that the youth is the solution. So let's just do it.